Gang's all here again. I'm Jeff.
Tom.
I'm Kim.
And this is the Three Old Reds Fans podcast coming to you from Shea Generette Poolside on a lovely Monday evening in Reds country. The rest of the world's getting ready to watch the Home Run Derby, and we're here talking about the Reds. We are just a short drive from our good friends at Beans in the heart of Cedarville, that famous birthplace and final resting place of Reds pitching legend Bumpus Jones. As always, Big Reds, welcome to our many new listeners and our longtime fans. We now have 1,010 followers on Podbean. We have people listening on other, on the iTunes and the Apple Podcast app, other platforms out there, Spotify, different places. We've now had downloads in over 40 countries that we know of. The UK being number 2, and suddenly, out of nowhere, in third place now, Russia. I don't know if it's bots or
the Putin influence.
Yeah, I don't know, but Russia.
We were huge in Switzerland.
We've got
Russia.
We got some fans in Russia,
like
or at least one who downloaded every podcast. I don't know. We got a couple over there at least. Maybe many.
Russia with the bronze.
Yes, Russia with the bronze medal right now. And 40 states now. California number 2, followed by Kentucky, followed by Connecticut and Kentucky. So we got some Reds fans in Connecticut that are into us. Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
I'm sure before they go on baseball tonight every day.
They probably want to check with us.
They make sure, hey, if those guys posted a podcast, so we know what to talk about the Reds, because nobody else pays attention to them. Anyway.
Hey, they're only 3.5 games out of first place.
4.5.
4.5 now.
Yeah, well, only 3 in the loss column. The all-important loss column. So, anyway, as a listener to our podcast, thanks for being one of the most loyal Reds fans ever. We do have a 5-star rating on iTunes and the Apple Podcast app, but we'd love more ratings and reviews. Leave us a review there, a comment on Podbean, or follow us on Twitter at 3 Old Reds Fans or Facebook. And speaking of that, let's go right to our listener questions. It's about, since this is All-Star break time, I have a couple questions in regards to the All-Star break. On Twitter, one of our faithful Twitter followers, Dalton Spear, at Daily Dalton, he says, how do y'all feel about the sleeveless jerseys? That's his first question.
I thought they were awesome. Absolutely loved them.
Too bad we didn't show any muscle.
Did you see
outside of that muscle in that game?
Did you see Dietrich wetting down everybody's arms?
No, I didn't see that.
I thought it was awesome.
It was fun. And I wonder if they were so distracted by it they forgot to play that day. But yeah, it was fun. It'll never happen again, probably, but it was fun. What did you think? Did you think it was fun?
I liked it. I don't know if it was Tom Brenneman that made mention they were showing Puig, and they brought that Puig brings the gridiron element to the sport of baseball. They showed him out there with those guns.
We had quite a few guys Dietrich has some guns. Lorenzen, of course.
Yes, Mr. Biceps.
And Hernandez. Dave Hernandez had huge arms, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at Puig with that blonde streak and that mohawk and those guns, and I'm sitting there thinking, the Rocky movie, Clubber Lang.
Yeah.
It did. You're right, yeah.
Exactly. Well, he could probably play for the Bengals, too. They probably wouldn't hurt their defensive chances at all. So then he says, and my serious question, can you guys discuss your opinions of this year's Reds All-Stars? Love the podcast. That's his final closing comment.
Thanks for the comment.
Yeah, we appreciate that, Dalton. And so, originally we had one All-Star, now we have 2. So we have Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray.
I mean, Castillo was a no-brainer.
Yeah, I meant to look up, how many times have we just had pitchers as All-Star representatives? It's happened.
Was it 2014? It was just mentioned.
Maybe Cueto was the only one?
Cueto and one other pitcher. Oh, I know who it is.
Who?
Think Eugenio Suarez.
He's not a pitcher.
Alfredo Simon.
Oh, yeah. They got 2 starters on that.
Right. He had a great
Simon
first half.
That's right.
Yep.
Collapsed in the second half, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then we traded him for Eugenio Suarez.
Great trade.
Yes, it was. So, our All-Star pitchers, just got some numbers here. It's interesting. Castillo is 8-3. He's had 18 starts. Gray is 5-5 and 17 starts.
But Gray's ERA is good.
Yeah, 3.59. Castillo's is 2.29. Now WAR is one of those interesting stats. especially because Baseball Reference does it and Fangraphs does it, and they figure them differently. So I don't know which one to believe or which one's the best, but Fangraphs actually grades Gray higher at a 2.3 and Castillo at a 2.1. But Baseball Reference has Castillo at 3.7 and Gray at 2.2. So really the big difference in the two is that the main difference is that Castillo's walk rate is higher, 12.3%, and Gray's is 8.9. Interesting thing, that's the two highest walk percentages among Red starters. And they're the all-stars. So
I know
this whole thing about walks will kill you, they don't help you. But these guys, walking some guys, but they have good out pitches and the change-ups and the curveballs and everything else, and they are able to work around it. I'd like to see them walk fewer guys. No, don't get me wrong, but they're pretty good at working around it.
I went to Gray's last start against the Brewers. I was at the stadium. He was just pumping strikes. They keep track of balls and strikes. And
yeah.
I mean, he was through like 3 innings and had like 8 balls.
Yeah.
It was
you
amazing.
had free pizza by the 5th inning, didn't you?
Yeah, you're right. It was really early.
What, did he strike out 12 in 8 innings that day?
Yeah. He had it was a great outing.
Well, we saw him when we went the weekend before.
Yeah,
he pitched pretty well that night.
I think the first 2 to 3 innings had 5 strikeouts, and we're thinking, okay, free pizza, and then the strikeouts kind of ceased by him and the bullpen, but the Reds did defeat the Cubs that night.
Yeah. So I'm 2-0 this year. You're 1-0, Kim. How many times have you been?
I went to opening day.
So you're 2-0.
2-0.
So we're 5-0. So that's the problem. We need to go to more games.
We need to just
season tickets next year.
Yeah, we all have that time.
Yeah, not to mention the money. I'm always happy when Reds make the All-Star team. What do you think? Pretty cool.
Yeah, but I think it's a picture of this team too, right? Great pitching, third in the league pitching, and the hitting's not there. And of course, that's who we send to the All-Star game, is pitching and not hitting.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and we had 3 guys. I think we had 3 All-Stars last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we had Joey, we had Scooter,
and Suarez.
Yeah,
what a difference,
It was all offense last year.
Was Iggy in it last year, Iglesias? No,
I think it was just those 3. It was just those 3. So, yeah, I mean, we're happy about it. Glad to see him there and everything. I think
Amir Garrett could have been a great candidate.
Yes.
He's had a great first half.
Yeah, he was, and a lot of people talked about it. 3 closers made it. One of them is the guy from the Giants, but he's I think the only Giant that made the team. So, everybody's got to get a guy on, and so I think that hurts a guy like Amir Garrett getting in. But it is what it is. It'd been nice if he'd have made it, but he didn't. So, and our other question comes from Facebook. Brandon Lindsay, he says, "I don't follow the Reds very closely. Just one of the 3 old Reds, as in." He's a friend of yours, right, Kim?
He is.
So somebody you know from South Carolina, I guess.
A fellow Gamecock fan.
Fellow Gamecock fan. Oh, boy. Gamecocks, Reds. Oh, tough.
Jets.
Yeah. But saw that Sonny Gray was named as an all-star replacement. His numbers don't scream all-star worthy, so what am I missing?
His wins and losses don't, but I think everything else does.
Yes, it does. And... they're looking at that less and less, measuring pitchers. So here's an interesting thing here that I didn't mention before. Castillo's ERA is 2.29. His FIP, which is the fielding independent pitching stat, and the xFIP, which takes in more park factors, I think. Those numbers, you read them just like ERA. But Castillo's are 3.66 and 3.78, so higher than his ERA. Gray is 3.59 ERA, but then his FIP is 3.35 and his xFIP is 3.48, which means he's pitching better than his ERA. For those who know a lot about these numbers, that's what they say. And for Castillo, he's pitching worse than his ERA. Which in a predictive analysis of it, which is what they try to use these numbers for, that says Castillo's ERA will come up, which 2.29, I mean, that's pretty low. Not too many guys ever have an ERA for a season like that. If he stays under 3, he'll have a good second half, pretty good second half. Whereas Gray, the numbers suggest his ERA will come down, which it has been coming down in probably the last,
His last two starts are really good.
Yeah, at least the last couple for sure. And so I think he, Scherzer backed out. I mean, Scherzer's an obvious all-star. They look around. Sonny Gray was right there probably with a lot of other guys.
I was a little surprised when I heard he first made it.
Yeah, I was
I'll be
too.
honest
I mean,
with
I
you.
was, yeah.
But I agree with Tom. You take out the wins and losses, and again, his first couple starts with the Reds, he pitched well. The team just didn't hit.
No.
But he is, I think, in the top 10 in strikeouts per 9 innings. He's in the top 10 in hits allowed per 9 innings, and I think he's in the top 10 in FIP.
Right.
And you just look at that and just say, what other starter? Because I was thinking, okay, Amir Garrett, but they went starter for starter. What other starter is deserving?
Yeah. Who else would have been?
Gray doesn't stand out to a non-Reds fan, I wouldn't think. And again, I'm a Reds fan, and it surprised me. But having said that, a baseball fan, who else stands out that could have been there?
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody gripe, so-and-so got snubbed because Sonny Gray got picked.
Right.
And I didn't see anybody that I thought got snubbed, and nobody else is fussing about somebody getting snubbed either. So that's probably true. So we feel good about Sonny Gray being on All-Star team, Luis Castillo. I don't care if they pitch or not, but I mean, it's fun to see him pitch, but at the same time, I'm not always. I'm not always big on my pitchers throwing in All-Star.
They're both eligible to pitch.
Right.
Yeah, they both probably can. They both might.
Don't let them go more than 2 innings.
How many pitchers do they carry?
The starter usually gets a couple, and after that, it's one. Nobody gets more than one.
How many do they carry on an All-Star team? Do you guys know?
It's like 35 now, isn't it?
I mean, pitchers.
Team? Oh,
Pitchers.
I don't know how many pitchers they carry.
I don't
Probably
know
not as many as the Reds do.
I mean, you think it's like 6, 7, 8 pitchers maybe?
No, it's more than that.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's more than that. It's double digits. I'd have to look that up, but I'm not going to right now. But you could look it up.
I'll look it up.
So, all right. So here we sit. This part of the season, All-Star game. We're over halfway through the game. So, if you remember, not too long ago, we had a 6-game winning streak. And we're driving to the Cubs. We're riding to the Cubs game that night, and they were just lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, they're 6-4 in their last 10." That was my glass half full look at the world. So here's what I did. I looked at this today, and I thought, what have they done since they started that 6-game winning streak? Not that they're going to have more 6-game winning streaks, but they might have a couple 4 or 5s. Since then, they're 11-8. If you start with the first game of that win streak, they're 11-8 in their last 19 games going into the All-Star break. 3 games over 500. Obviously, you can do that math. That's a .579 winning percentage. Okay, so bear with me here. So right now they're 41-46. They're 4.5 games back, 3 in the loss column in the division and in the wild card. Lots of teams to jump in both instances. The last show we did, they were 8 back and 7 back. 8 back in the division and 7 in the wild card. So they've cut that in half. With 75 games left to play, if they were to play at a similar winning percentage, which I can't get it exactly the same, but let's say .573, they would have to go 43-32 to play at the same rate that they've played at the last 19 games. That would get them to that would be 11 games over 500.
That's a lot of series they have to win.
Exactly. That would mean a final record of 84-78, which would be a .519 winning percentage. And the Cubs are currently 47-43 in first place. .522, same as the Phillies, who are now number 2 in the wild card. So that means if they get to that, if they play that well, they would finish with roughly the same winning percentage as the Phillies and the Cubs have right now, because they're both 4.5 games behind them. Of course, we don't expect with Cubs, and we don't expect everybody else to play like 500 ball and let the Reds catch them by playing 11 games over
Right.
necessarily. So the thing is that even just playing that much better, or playing the way they have the last 20 games, gets them to 84 wins. Does that feel like enough to get into the postseason, either as a wild card or win the division?
It's really close. 84.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think we have a better chance. I can only go on where we're at right now. We have a better chance of the division than we do the wild card.
I agree, because that West division, with the Dodgers running away with it, those second and third place teams still have a lot of wins.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're in the same boat. Both of them. More teams to pass in the wild card, fewer in the division.
Right.
So that's where you go. But do you think 84 is enough to win that division? Do you think 84 and 78 can win the National League Central this year?
If things continue as they have the first half, yes.
It could happen.
That's a big if.
If the Brewers and Cubs don't get hot, right?
Right. So
Cardinals don't seem to be a factor. I don't know.
No, I don't know.
I think the Brewers and Cubs are the favorites.
Yeah, I think so. I think those are the two teams. And I think the Brewers will do something to help their pitching. Their starting pitching. I think they will. They've done that in recent years.
They're a candidate for Tanner
Roark, yeah.
Which I can't believe we trade him in the division.
No, I wouldn't. I'd be shocked. So all I have to say is play it the same way they've been playing the rest of the year, the way they played like the last 19 games since the beginning of that winning streak. That gets you to 84 wins. If it takes 86, 87, then we're talking about being a 600 ball club the rest of the year. So, that's that. I think the talent is there.
Yeah, is it possible? Yeah, if they start hitting the ball.
But Puig's been tearing it up. But daggone, Dietrich can't hit anything right now. Casali's terrible right now.
Yeah, Dietrich's like 230 or something like that.
Yeah, 220s. And Casali's not hitting. So you got nothing in the bottom of the
We say Puig's so hot, and he's still hitting 240.
He's in the 250s now. But he's been hitting over 300 for the last
and so is
month.
Joey.
And Joey's been better. It's just, I don't know. I mean, they did run into... It would have been nice not to get swept by the Indians, but I mean they did face two really good pitchers.
They did.
Yeah,
I mean they definitely put better. They definitely put better pitchers on the mound than we did those 2 days.
Oh, look! It's the Goodyear blimp going over our podcast. We're looking out the side of it. Three Reds fans.
It sounds just like an airplane.
Well, Senzel has been our most, dare I say, consistent hitter. I mean, Suarez in the first 50 games,
he hasn't out-hit Puig in the last 6 weeks.
I'm just saying, since he's been here, I think he's my most consistent hitter.
Iglesias has been the most consistent hitter. He's hitting 290
That's true.
something.
I would have to say, I think he's down to mid-280s now. He's kind of cooled off a little bit.
I think we've gotten all out of him.
And I know Tom's going to say my man crush. Winker just hits the ball incredibly hard, but right at people. But if we can get Senzel and Winker, Scooter when he came up his timing was way off.
Yeah, I think they rushed him, I think maybe he felt fine physically, but
he needed more time.
He needed more time to get his swing down. And what was he doing batting fourth at him winning the game?
All right,
that didn't make any sense to me.
So guys, listen, I've mentioned this in other podcasts. I think it's time if to show everybody they're serious about winning. They got to fire the hitting coach. They got to get rid of him and turn it over and make a significant change. Because the problem with this ball club is hitting. And it's not just one or two players. It's been the whole team. It's a systematic problem. I don't know if it's too much analytics. I don't know if it's something of new philosophy compared to last year.
I don't know either.
You got to do something. If you just keep on going on as always, are you really committed to winning?
I don't know if it's true, but I had heard that Votto has stopped attempting to hit at launch angles and just hit. I don't know if it's true or not, but we have seen the change in him. His stance a little bit. Been a singles hitter, but goodness, and Billy Bean. Just get on base.
Yeah.
Just get on base.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah.
Do you guys agree?
You need guys getting on base, but this team cannot. This team has got to hit home runs because they cannot piece. They don't piece rallies together. How often do they get 3, 4, 5 hits an inning?
They do it one game where they'll score 14
you
runs.
You can count on one hand probably how many times they've had more. I mean, I'm probably exaggerating, but they don't score many runs unless they're hitting home runs.
Yeah,
and
somebody gets a single and somebody gets home run.
Yeah. So I think that's the issue, or solo homers and stuff. And
so do you guys agree? Do we fire the hitting coach?
I don't know if that's the answer or not. I mean, I really don't. I don't know enough about. I mean, I think at some point possibly yes, but I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if he's messed them up.
I mean, I usually err on the side of the coaches. You know, so I'm not someone to always say fire the coach, but it's just that so many guys aren't hitting. It's not one or two, you know.
Yeah, I mean, what's happened to Peraza this year?
Yeah,
he's regressed. I mean, he's been hitting the ball better kind of lately.
Suarez
is slumped, but then he
Winker,
hit a bunch of home runs that one weekend, but now he hadn't hit since.
Yeah. What do you think, Kim?
I would be hesitant to fire the coach only because who knows now if there is something about hitting for launch and focusing on that, and then you couple it with the results, then yeah, that's obviously been a disaster. But that I don't know. I
mean, it wasn't like Dodgers were bad hitters when he was out there.
Yeah, I just don't know.
And they're hitting the ball this year again.
And we went from what were we, like 7th or 8th in the league in hitting last year?
Well, we all sat here before the season began and said, okay, hitting's our strength. Hitting's our strength. And boy, were we wrong on both counts. Thankfully, we were wrong on pitching since that's kept us, 5 games under 500.
Yeah.
I don't think
to your point, if they're going to be serious about winning, something's going to have to change.
Yeah, you need to do something, right? You just can't. What's
Status
that saying? What's that saying? If you keep doing what you've always been doing, you're always going to get the same results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's possible. I think we'll never know. I mean, we'll never know what a healthy Scooter Gennett could have meant to this team this season as well. Coming out of spring training, being ready to go, we'll just never know what he could have meant to this team.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Dietrich did a lot of good stuff early on, but he was kind of the only guy doing it.
But he really wasn't. He was just timely.
It was timely. It was timely, and I think we're seeing, he was terrible this weekend against breaking balls. I think we're seeing what he is, why he was a free agent. This is probably not a real popular opinion, but I think we've probably gotten, as far as his bat goes, I think we've gotten all out of Jose Iglesias who we're going to get from a batting standpoint.
Yeah, no one would have guessed he had as good as he did.
I don't think what he's done this first half is really repeatable. I mean, it's not. It doesn't mean he's going to hit 200 the rest of his life, but I think to bank on him in the future as a really good hitter in this lineup, I think would be a mistake. Now, if you feel like you've got enough around him that you can live with his bat because of his defense, that's another story.
Yeah, but if you're Bell,
but
you got somebody hitting 280, 290, you got to play him.
You got to play. Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, they had to play him. I mean, Peraza is the thing that gets me. I mean, he lost his job. He's lost his job 2 years, 2 out of 3 years. He lost his second base job to Gennett, and then he played really well last year, and then this year he lost his shortstop job to Iglesias.
Well, he lost it himself.
He did. And so, who is he? Who is Jose Peraza?
Yeah.
Is he the guy that got 180 hits last year, and hit 14 or 15 home runs, something like that, or is he the guy we're seeing this year? He's only 25. Of course, we keep saying 2 years ago he's only 23, but now he's only 25. I mean, how long is he only a certain age? I don't know. I mean, when Zach Cozart was 24 and 25, he was never going to have the year he had as an All-Star. Nobody ever saw that coming.
Nope.
So, maybe that's coming for him. I don't know. So, which sort of brings us to the next thing I had on the list here, next year's roster. Who do you want back next year? Who do you let go via either trade or free agent signing? And who stays in the minors? So, outfield. The guys that are playing in the outfield right now are Winker, Senzel, Puig, Irvin. And by the way, I will say this for David Bell, that 3-game series with that weekend with the Cubs with all the left-handers, and he decided I'm going to play Phil Irvin. Well, that worked out pretty well.
Sure did.
He hit like 500 that series. And I mean, you can't look, you're like, you can't, looking back on it, it helped him win that series.
How long do we have Puig?
He's a free agent after this year.
And so is Tanner Roark.
Yeah. So can we stick with outfield?
Sorry.
Can we do that? All right. Yeah, gotta keep the train on the track here. All right. Winker, Senzel, Puig, Irvin. We've had Van Meter up. I mean, Scott Schebler's like long forgotten. I don't.
Are you hurt with that, Jeff? Are you okay?
I feel bad for him, but I still want us to have the best guys on the field, and he's not one of the best guys right now.
I think you let Puig go, and you got maybe Trammell. How do you say his name?
Taylor Trammell.
Trammell coming up, and you got.
Yeah, but he's in the minors. How do we know he can even hit big league pitching?
We don't. Puig's expensive though.
Sounds familiar.
I don't think he's a.
I would sign him.
Well, you really would?
I'd give him 5 years.
Wow.
That's what I would do.
Why?
Because he is a proven commodity.
Proven at what? To hit 260 and 25 home runs?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I agree.
Nothing wrong with that.
What kind of a teammate you think he is?
I think he's a really good teammate. I think
he's
a great
come
teammate.
On, guys. He's never been known as a good teammate.
From what I've seen and how he has represented the city, the Reds team and everything, I am pleasantly
You think they were
surprised.
just bad rumors from LA?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Wrong foot with some guy. He was young, coming out of Cuba, not knowing, trying to get used to living in the United States. Young guy. He's 28. He's at the perfect age to give him a long-term contract. He's 28. He won't be 29 until December. Free agent he's a proven thing in the outfield, and our outfield is really not that proven.
That's true.
So if you think about it, we got guys there we like. We like Winker. We like Senzel. Irvin shows a little bit. We got Trammell coming. We got Siri coming. We got all these younger guys we like, but we need a guy to build our outfield around.
You sound like me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You start throwing out these minor league guys, and that's why I said, well, those guys haven't proven anything.
I don't trust.
I like him,
but maybe I'm wrong.
I like him.
Jeff had pointed out something when we were on the way to the Cubs game. He had a site pulled up on his phone of all the outfielders who are free agents, and the one outfielder that you would even say would be in Puig's category to pick up.
Starling Marte.
That was it. Other than that, Tom, there was nobody that would be in Puig's category.
Interesting.
Nobody to sign.
Now, I think Puig, I don't know after yesterday's game, I think he was up to about 250. If he can hit 260, and you said 25 home runs, he's going to hit 30. All things being equal, in this ballpark, he's going to hit 30 easily.
Yeah, because he's already, at 19?
He's at 20.
He hit his 20th the other day? Yeah, he hit his 20th.
So I don't know that I would say 5. Obviously, his agent would like that.
You might have to do it to get him, and I'd be willing to do it.
I get that. But I would 3 to 4, yeah, for sure. I would keep him too. His defense, even when he was down to 200, his defense is just so attention worthy of all the opponents.
I like his heads-up base running. He's done a few games too.
The game we were at, a little dunk into right field or something. No, he had to go to his right and picked it up, and the guy, the hitter, rounded first and took like 3 or 4 serious steps. And, Winker, Senzel, anyone else, they're going to quickly throw the ball in. Puig just stands there and he's got the ball cocked like he's going to throw it, and he just puts his arm down.
Well, he waved him with his left arm.
Say, go ahead.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
He actually, with his glove hand, waved him to second.
The crowd just loved it. And that reputation of his outfield has probably saved us quite a bit. I don't know how you measure it, but it saved us quite a bit. Bottom line,
nobody runs on him.
I would look
reputation.
to keep him as well.
Yeah,
I really would. I would not have guessed that last year when they traded him. But
no, I do think he wants to get paid. I will say that. I'm pretty sure he wants to get paid.
Yep.
Like he's going to probably, unless the Reds come through and say, we'll give you 5 years and really give him a really good offer, what seems like would be competitive to him. Does he love Cincinnati enough? Is he willing to do that? Does he not want to go through free agency? At the end, at the least, they have to make a qualifying offer, which means if he accepts it, they get him for 1 year for that amount. Because if they make the qualifying offer, which probably be around last year was around $18 million for 1 year. If you make that and then he goes somewhere else, then you get some compensation and draft picks for it. So you at least get something back.
Well, you mentioned Trammell and Siri. Okay, the thing with let's say that Winker bounces back. Let's say Senzel has the type of career that he's had all along. I'm going to transition a little bit to the infield. If Scooter doesn't come back after the All-Star break and hit 330, I don't see us keeping him. I have no clue, but I don't see us keeping him. That brings Senzel to the infield. You have a spot open for a Trammell or Siri. And so that allows you to have the young minors to come in with some veterans beside.
Well, my question is, do you want to spend $18 million on an outfielder?
Yeah.
Or you want to spend it on a pitcher?
Well, with what I'd spend it on an outfielder. I mean,
you would?
They've already, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you got a choice between spending it on solidifying your starting
I would
rotation.
pay. Would you pay $18 million for Yasiel Puig or Tanner Roark?
I don't know how old
or Alex Wood.
How old's Roark?
He's 32, I think.
Then no, I wouldn't spend on him.
Something like that.
Anyway. I mean, we all know pitching's more important than an outfielder.
Well, I don't know. We got all this pitching, and we're 41 and 46.
Come on, you guys all know.
I don't know, Tom.
I don't call him just an outfielder.
You hear it's all about pitching, but it's not. It's about balance. It's about hitting and pitching. We're seeing that right now, and the Reds, the big red machine. I was wrong, and when Jeff brought up the stats about how effective that pitching staff was back in the mid '70s with Gullett and Billingham and Nolan. I'm thinking, okay, those guys were more effective. Even Freddie Norman, they were more effective than I realized.
Here's what you got, talking about signing guys, our own guys who would be free agents, and looking elsewhere, and maybe making a trade and doing a sign and trade thing like we did for Sonny Gray last year, which was a great move. Reds' estimated payroll this year is $129 million. Right now, they only have $57 million committed to next year because of the number of free agents they have. So
72.
That is what, $72 million difference about? Is that right? Did you just do the math there? So out of that $72 million, and if you have room for your payroll to be even more next year, maybe be 135, 140, there's room for that because.
Well, listen, I'd sign everybody if I had the money.
Well, I know.
It's just,
I know. Well,
you got to make those decisions.
All right. Roark, Jeanette, Wood, and Puig are all making between $9.5 and $10 million. All four of them. Hernandez is $2.5. Jose Iglesias is $2.5. Jared Hughes is a couple million. He's got a $3 million club option if they want to keep him. They can keep him for $3 million. The Matt Kemp salary goes away, and Zach Duke, we were only paying him $2 million, so that really doesn't matter too much. So that's what you're looking at next year. I mean, there's a lot of money. There's over half of their current salary is in play for next year. So what are you going to do with it? And I'd be fine with giving Puig that kind of money for that year. I really would. And I don't think you're going to see Jeanette back. I think if they would have I think if they were going to... Do you feel like if they were going to re-sign him, they would have already done it, like before this season?
Yep.
Isn't that...
The injury curtailed his leverage.
Yes. And we don't know what... And it might get Alex Wood for really cheap.
Exactly.
Because...
We talked about that last
He may
time.
not even come back this year. Now his back's bothering him.
Yeah, well, he's doing a rehab.
Yeah, but his back hit back tightness the other day.
Yeah.
After the start the other night in Columbus?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we may not see him this year.
So you may get him next year for $7 to $8 million again.
Yeah. Now, DeSclafani goes to arbitration. He's only making a little over $2 million. He would make more money if they keep him. Lorenzen is making 1.9. He would go to arbitration. Peraza's making 2.7. He has a second arbitration year. Casale's making $950,000. He has a second arbitration year. Barnhart, Rizal, Suarez, Gray, and Votto are under contract for next year. Those are the only 5 guys right now who we know for sure what they're going to make next year on this team.
Votto, Suarez, and who?
Iglesias, Rizal, Iglesias, and Barnhart. Those are the only guys under contract for next year.
Iglesias,
the rest,
I thought he was one and done.
I said Rizal, Iglesias.
Rizal, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Jose.
The rest are free agents or arbitration. The free agents are David Hernandez, Jose Iglesias, Jared Hughes, Tanner Roark, Scooter Gennett, Alex Wood, and Yasiel Puig. DeSclafani and Dietrich have one last arbitration year and are free agents in 2021. So that, and Winker's pre-arbitration, Garrett's pre-arbitration, Luis Castillo is still pre-arbitration for 1 year. Those guys can't go to arbitration next year, so they're not going to make any money. Although the Reds could come to Luis Castillo, like they did Suarez and Barnhart, and say, hey, let's get you under contract for the next 6 or 7 years. And they could do that. It's riskier with a pitcher, but they could do that.
In the interest of time, go to infield. You talked about the outfield. How about the infielders? Who would you bring
well,
up? All right, we know
the
corner fielders.
Yeah.
Votto and Suarez are set. Who's the double play combination next year?
That's a great question.
Barring something unforeseen with Jose Iglesias in the second half, I would do my best to get that guy there.
I would say that unforeseen, I would say that unforeseen is probably something that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to hit. I don't think he's going to keep hitting at the same pace.
If he bats 250 to 260 with the type of defense that he has, remember where we were the past couple of years up the middle on defense. If he can hit 250 to 260, which is his average, maybe even a little bit better than that, I try to sign him.
Well, that's the eternal. The big question is always is what are you willing to trade off for offense defense, right? There's always
a combination of Peraza and or Senzel to fill in at second.
I mean, as good as we feel about Jose Iglesias as a hitter right now, he still is a below average offensive player in the National League. The overall numbers, he's still an overall below average offensive player in the National League.
And that's why I mentioned his defense.
Yeah, I agree. Because, he's batting 282, but his on base is only 315. I mean, he doesn't walk much.
No.
4.5% of the time he walks.
He needs to do like Dietrich and lean in.
Yeah, he needs to get hit more. Did you see that stat for Dietrich the other day? 18 homers, 18 singles, 17 hit by pitch.
Yeah.
That's a stat line I've never seen in my life, and you'll probably never see again.
Oh.
His slugging is 390. He's got a good batting average. He's been a timely hitter. He's got like this crazy runners in scoring position stat, best in baseball. But that's not sustainable. I mean, he's not going to do that forever. So I think the big question for me in the infield is Jose Peraza. What are you going to do with him?
Well, you've already said what you do with him. He's in your future.
If he's in my future, you play him.
Yep. You've already said
if he's in my future,
to have both.
You
Let him play off in the spring training. I mean, Iglesias would be a great backup utility guy.
He's a great utility guy, and for sure. I mean, look what.
Well, that's what we expected him to be.
Right.
To be this year, and then he had to play every day because Scooter got hurt.
Right.
Well, that and Peraza.
And Peraza did
that's
nothing.
why we've had Dietrich at second a lot.
Yeah, but still, even with, even with that, because nobody in the organization, there's not a shortstop who's really ready.
I agree.
To come up.
I agree.
There's not a defensive whiz, a guy that can hit. Now, there's some couple guys down there that they like, but they're not there yet. And so that's the big question. If Jeanette and Dietrich weren't on this team next year, I think I'd be okay with that.
I don't
depend on what they get, but I think I'd be okay with that.
Just because, again, that frees up a lot of money, and you go out and you spend.
You can go out and find something. Yeah.
Well, you have to say Scooter was second in the batting title last year.
I know.
So, I mean, that's how many people are like that in major leagues.
If Scooter had not been hurt and he's batting 310 to 320, and he's doing like he normally has, my answer is you keep him.
Yeah, but we don't know what he is anymore. That's not his fault. That's just really.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, really.
It is.
Yeah, I mean,
2 awesome seasons.
I like the guy.
Yep.
And everything, but we don't know what he is.
He's a good representative too.
Yeah, and I think Senzel's in center field opening day next year because I really don't think the Reds are going to get Trammell or Siri or anybody else like that to the majors that fast. They're both. I mean, we're looking at AA.
What level is Trammell?
He's in AA. I could see him at some point next year. If they move him up to AAA here and let him play some of this year at AAA and a little bit of next year and then maybe getting a shot, just depends on what the big club is doing and what they need. They've been giving Phil Irvin a chance, but I just feel like he's a fourth outfielder. I can't believe they think of him anymore. It just feels like they don't think of him as any more than a fourth or fifth outfielder. When you try to figure what do the Reds, when you're trying to read their mind a little bit, I think they think Winker's a starter if they can get him, if he can come around against left-handers.
I think you're right on Irvin. I think the general consensus we all had that night we went to the game was if Tucker Barnhart hadn't got hurt, Irvin was back on I-71 going back to Louisville.
Yeah, he was. And, he certainly was. Okay. All right. So Dietrich, Farmer, utility guys, maybe not. I don't know. Barnhart, Casale, it wouldn't hurt to get an upgraded catcher, to be honest with you. I mean, they went after Real Muto, didn't get him. So I really think I would not be surprised to see them try to upgrade catcher this year.
Yep.
Now, they like Tyler Stevenson, but he's still more of a AA guy right now. I don't know. But, I mean, really, AA and AAA, there's not a lot of difference. Guys come up from AA in the past. Luis Castillo came straight from AA. Guys have done that. Guys have been in AA, short stint at AAA, and come up. It's not unusual. It's not a lot of difference, but we'll see. We'll see. I think if you think Peraza's in your long-term plans, he plays almost every day the rest of the year. Senzel plays every day. Puig plays every day. You sign him. Winker obviously should start every game. There's a right-hander on the mound. And if it's not a really good left-hander, especially if you sort of drop in the standings a little bit, you got to get him some experience hitting left-handers.
I think this is a make-or-break year for Winker. This could be like a Schebler year for Winker. If he plays all season and peters out.
It could be. I think he's a better hitter than Schebler. I think he's a better hitter.
Seems to be, but he's not showing up in the stats.
Well, certainly didn't for a while. I mean, he has been hitting the ball better lately, but most of them have. It's just still not clicking all the way around, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's revisit our trade of the century. We've talked about the big trade with the Astros in '71. Last couple shows. Last time we talked about Cesar Geronimo, and 2 times ago, and then Ed Armbruster last time. This time we talk about Jack Billingham. He was one of the third of 5 Reds who we got in that deal for Tommy Helms, Lee May, and Jimmy Stewart. So Billingham pitched in parts of 13 seasons, debuted with the Dodgers in '68. Did you know that? He was then drafted by the Expos in the expansion draft. And then they traded him to the Astros after the draft to complete an earlier trade. You remember when I used to have the for future considerations in a trade or for a player to be named and all that? They don't do that anymore. But so anyway, for his career, he 7.4 WAR, which isn't really that high, but that's what he did. His career record was 145 and 113. He had a career 383 earned run average. Why were the Reds interested in him? Well, Houston wasn't very good then, right? But they had some players we wanted. In '71 with Houston, he won 10 games. He was 10-16 on probably a pretty bad team. Had a 3.39 ERA through 8 complete games and 3 shutouts, which nobody ever does that anymore. So that is obviously why they had interest in him. He's been in the league 3 years. He's still a younger guy. Wins 339 earned run average, guy we liked, and probably pitched pretty well against the Reds a couple times. That was always one of Sparky's things. If there's a guy who's pitching well against you and you have trouble with him, go get him. That's why you got Fred Norman. I've heard him talk about that.
Who do you think was the number 2 pitcher on the Big Red Machine?
Who do you think was the number 1?
Gullett was number 1.
Yeah.
Who was the number 2 starter?
Depends on what years you're talking
Was
about.
it Billingham?
Billingham had back-to-back seasons. I believe he was 19-10 and 19-11.
Yeah.
Back-to-back, and he had the opportunity to get to 20 both years, I think. He was.
So Billingham was the number 2.
I don't think they tried.
Well, not the years
starts.
they won the World Series.
I don't think they had quality starts back then, but if they did, I would think Billingham would have had quite a bit.
So in '73, he won 19 games. In '73 and '74, he won 19 games. He had ERAs of 3.04 and 3.94 those years. He was 4th in the Cy Young in '73 and 6th in '74 in the voting. In 6 years with the Reds, he was 87 and 63 at 385, 45 complete games.
Wow.
The 5 guys in the Reds rotation right now will not combine for that in their career.
Right.
18 shutouts. He averaged 211 innings, and in '73 he pitched 293 in a third innings. Made 40 starts that year too, I think.
Really? So
Yeah.
that's average over 7 innings right there.
Yeah, amazing.
My goodness.
Amazing, yeah. So I mean, like we said earlier, they had better pitching than we give them credit for.
Yep. You say he wasn't the number 2 one of those years. Who was the number 2?
Nolan.
You think no?
Well, maybe when they won. I was thinking more like when they won the World Series.
Nolan started a game in Yankee Stadium, so I would think it would have been Gullett and Billingham.
Billingham started game. I'll tell you.
He didn't start game 2?
Here, I'll tell you. I got. So what we know? What's he most famous for? Is
he gave up a home run.
Well,
he gave up a home run on an opening day, and I'm going to tell you, 1974.
Okay, that's not what I'm going for.
You're not?
No.
That's what I know him for.
Do you know what his career ERA is in the World Series?
No.
Do you not know this? I think it's a record. He pitched in 7 World. He started 3 World Series games in his career. 72 between 72, 75, and 76. He made 3 starts. Was all. But he pitched in 7 games. He pitched in relief 4 times. Because you shorten your rotation and all that. His ERA in 25 and a third innings in this World Series was 0.36. That's like a record for that. Yeah.
Wow.
So he gave up 1 earned run in 25 and a third innings.
So what was I thinking about?
You were like dubious.
He
famous
gave up
for
home run.
He gave out.
Hank Aaron.
He gave that up to Hank
okay.
Aaron. All right, 74. I wasn't tracking with the year. All right. Al Downing's more famous for giving up the record breaker.
And Tom House caught it in the bullpen.
Yeah, and Al Downing was number 44. Hank Aaron was number 44. There's a bunch of 4s in the whole thing.
And Billingham was 1 less.
Yes. He struck out 19 and he walked 9 in those 25 and a third innings. So his World Series appearances, I have a summary here. In 72, Reds are down 2-0 to the A's. They win Game 3 1-0. And he started that game, and he beat Blue Moon Odom 1-0.
Complete game?
He went 8 or 9. I don't know if it was complete. I didn't make a note of that.
Shutout.
But he went like 8 innings. I can tell you. No, he only. I don't know which game that
Bourbon
is.
or Clay Carroll.
Yeah. I'm not sure that he went the distance, but we could look. You can look it up later if you really want to know. So he also started Game 7. So that series went 7 games. The Reds he allowed 1 unearned run in the 5th in 5 innings. He only pitched 5 innings that night. Allowed 1 unearned run, and then Bourbon came in the 6th and gave up 2 runs, and they got beat 3-2. He gave up back-to-back doubles to Gene Tennis and Sal Bando, and they got down 3-2 and got beat. So Bourbon came out of the bullpen and blew it for him. In 75, he started Game 2 against Boston. They won 3-2. He went 5 2/3, gave up 2 runs. Only 1 was earned. Eastwick got the win in relief because the Reds scored twice in the 9th to win that game. Single RBI, single by Concepcion, and then Griffey doubled him in. And that won that game in the 9th inning for a walk-off. He pitched 2 more times in relief in that series. In 76, he won Game 2 in relief of Fred Norman.
So both of those series, he pitched Game 2.
Norman was the Game 2 starter in that series.
Interesting.
He entered in the 7th with 1 out and the bases loaded. Norman gets in trouble in the 7th. Loads the bases. Billingham comes in. He gets Thurman Munson, grounds out, lets 1 run in. And then he gets Lou Piniella to ground out to end the inning. Then he threw 2 perfect innings, and the Reds won the game in the bottom of the 9th against Catfish Hunter.
Doggy.
Yes. Against Catfish Hunter, who pitched in a complete game. Well, he 8 2/3 because it was a walk-off. Another walk-off. Billingham's involved in all these walk-off games. With 2 out, Griffey reached on second. He reached base on a throwing error and got to second on it on an error on shortstop Fred Chicken Stanley. And then they potentially walked Morgan, and then Perez lined a single into left field, and they won the game.
A hard single is that.
Yes.
Mr. Clutch.
Yeah, Mr. RBI. So then they traded him to Detroit in 78, and then they sent him to Boston in 80, and then he soon released after that. So that's Cactus Jack. Episode 42, uniforms. Of course, the most recent Red to wear number 42 was the entire team.
Well, didn't Griffey change his number first? Wasn't that the first one that had the idea?
Did he have the idea?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, I think he had the idea when he was playing for the Reds.
Okay, all right. So what year was that? How long have they been doing the Jackie Robinson 42 thing?
They had to wait. Was it Rivera for the Yankees? They had to wait
for him to retire
until he was there was a player, and it may have been Rivera. I don't remember.
He did wear 42.
Had to wait
that sounds right.
for his number, him to be done, and then they did not issue the number.
So
again.
nobody else was giving it out at some point.
Correct.
Don't give it out when everybody else is out. We'll go to it. All right, because the last Red to wear it as his own number was in 1996, a pitcher named Roger Salkeld. There's a obscure former Red. Here's a guy, 89-90 pitcher. We made fun of this guy before. Rick Mailer.
Oh gosh!
Wow, that's a name from the past. Those are
in 78 and 80. Bill Bonham. Remember Bill Bonham?
Got him from the Cubs.
Yeah, he was a pretty good starter. 76-77, Santo Alcala.
Had one decent year with
Yes.
the Reds. 11
Pretty good
and
as a rookie. Same year as Zachary, I think. Pretty good, but then after that,
he
just nothing.
He loved throwing base on balls. I mean, that's what he was known for. He ended up going to the Expos, and I think he was done after that.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. Well, guys, that's all I had on the docket. Are we good? Reds gonna go to the play. Reds gonna make it? Are they gonna fade bad, or are they just gonna hang around?
I saw something the past 5 years, how far they were out of first place. The closest they were out of first place at the All-Star break in the past 5 years was like 2 or 3 years ago, 9.5 out. 1 year, 21.5 out. Another year, like 18.5. Another 11 or 13 out. So I temper that they're only 4.5 out with the fact that the whole division is.
Yeah.
But
that's also
you
because
can't
they're
control
pitching.
the whole division. You just say, okay, we're in it. We're in it. And so
they're in it because they're pitching.
We need
Yes.
we need a Moneyball moment. We don't need 20 in a row. We don't need 12 in a row. But we need a bunch in a row.
They
And
just need to win series.
things happen. Yeah, I'll take that 11-8. I'll take that 11-8. That'll get you 12 over. I know you said
Yeah,
75
11
games.
over, yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, if they have a winning record and are in the hunt, I will feel good about this season. If they fall apart, I won't feel good about it.
The only way they fall
I'd
apart,
rather be teased and not get it than just
I
completely.
think there's less of a chance they fall apart this year, just because of the solid pitching.
I agree
Yes.
with that.
Oh yeah.
But then if they're not in it, do they give up Roark?
I don't. Well, here's the issue on that I wonder about is Roark. What's the market? And what are you going to get for him? I mean,
I know. I agree.
I don't think you get much.
He's
for
not
him.
a top-tier starter.
You're not going to get. He's a third, fourth starter
Right.
Oh.
at best. So what can you you
Remember,
get?
Matt Harvey was looked at strongly by the Cubs, and so there may be a team out there that says, you know what, we'll take if his next 2 starts have build upon what he's done his last 2 to 3 starts, there'll be interest.
Yeah, but to Jeff's point, what would you get for him?
No.
I
What
don't
would
know.
they give you?
I mean,
don't know.
the Cubs might have strongly looked at him, but the Cubs might have not offered anything of value.
Well, how could you
I mean, you're
blame
not
them
you're
after
not going to
the
get
way they gave away Chapman.
I don't think you're going to get a top 10 prospect
I don't either.
for a Roark.
I don't either.
So what
But-
do you get?
I don't know.
Bag of pretzel.
I mean, we got Luis Castillo for Dan Straley, and Tanner Roark and Dan Straley. That's the same guy. I mean, there's
But
not much
Luis
difference.
Castillo at the time was not.
Well,
anything
the
proven.
Reds had scouted and really liked him and really liked
Remember, he
him.
came straight up from Double A. He
Right,
didn't
I
pitch
remember
Double
They
A.
really liked him and they wanted him.
It's a Mario Soto project.
And if they find a guy, if there's a guy out there like that, whether it's a pitcher or position player, that they think a team is undervaluing and they're like really high on him and they want a guy like Roark, they might do that deal. But I
not
wouldn't give
mind
him
seeing
away.
The Reds signing him for an extension. I would not mind it at all.
Oh, he would. I think he could get if the Reds offered him, he's making $10 million this year. If they said we'll give you, we'll give
12
you.
million.
No, he's making 10.
I know, but say
Right.
say
Oh
they
yeah,
offer
yeah,
12
yeah.
million
Yeah, that's
for
what I was
3
going to say.
years.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
36. I'd do it.
That's probably a good deal for a number 3 starter.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years. We'll give you $12 million a year. You want to stick around, be part of something that we
And
think
we'll
is
let you go
getting
6
better.
2/3 twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you mean that might be a thing where a guy like him might say, I want to go pitch somewhere where they're going to let me throw more innings. I don't want to stay here.
I will say
But-
this. You read Sonny Gray and his comments about Derek Johnson. You look at the Brewers last year with Derek Johnson. If I'm a pitcher who was looking to really strengthen my repertoire and thus my career, hold on to Derek Johnson.
Yeah.
Do not let that guy go.
And fire Turner Ward, according to Tom.
You got to consider it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, it's a beautiful evening. That pool over there is going to waste.
The unit turned off, so
Oh, the air conditioner just turned off.
start over.
If the buzz, if there was a huge buzz in the background, that was the air conditioner. We're sitting out on the deck, enjoying the sun and the evening and the nice evening.
Beautiful night for baseball.
So stinking hot here last week, and now it's
Home run
warm,
hitting contest
but it's not
tonight.
oppressive. Right? Oh, home run derby. Yeah, who you got in the home run derby?
I got that guy for the Mets, that rookie. What's his
Alonso.
name? Yeah, Alonso.
Pete Alonso.
He's
I'd
a
love to
stud.
see him win it.
He's a stud.
That'd be cool.
Or Josh Bell.
Yeah, Yelich backed out.
No, I don't want to. You know, I don't want to see Bell win it.
I don't want
Chris
any
Cross would be too happy.
Yeah.
I don't
good
want any
point.
no Pirates. We don't like the Pirates.
Okay, I'm with you.
If I was the guy who got to pitch to Josh Bell tonight, I would pitch him inside.
Have Hurdle on the mound. He'll plunk him.
Did you see how Madden got mad at him the other day?
Yeah.
Did you see
He
that?
said
saw
it,
it.
they said he wasn't mad at Hurdle. I don't know how you could.
I don't know. Who was
else
he
it
mad
would
at
be.
then?
He was pointing to the dugout, wasn't he?
Did they not? Was it the Bat Boy or who was he mad at?
I would have figured
Yeah.
it was Hurdle, but someone was saying it wasn't Hurdle. But that's the Pirates.
That's the Pirates.
Despite what Chris Cross says, that's the Pirates. Stats don't lie.
That's right. Where else can you get hit by a pitch every other inning? Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. We'll be back. Hopefully, this next time we're back, the Reds have gotten off to a good start here, continued the way they've been playing in the so-called second half of the season, even though we're already into the second half. But I think if by the 1st of August, the end of the trade deadline, if we're still hanging in there 2-3 games out and a couple games out in the loss column to first place and maybe jumped a couple people,
Jeff, if we're
that's
2
what
to
you got to
3
be.
games out,
That's what
at the
I
beginning of
want to
August,
see.
We'll be 3 happy old Reds.
We
fans.
sure will.
I will be. Yeah, something to
Change the
watch.
podcast.
I haven't watched a lot of August baseball in the last couple years. I haven't watched a lot of baseball in August, so hopefully we'll be dying to turn that
I like to
stuff
be
on.
scoreboard watching of the other teams in
Yeah,
August and September.
We
That's
don't want to
fun.
be treading water, do we, Tom?
Treading water is scary.
Sink or swim. We're going to
Yeah,
swim.
I don't want to hear the word rebuild ever again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up, and we'll see you next time. With that said, go Reds!